Too many learners get too focused on advancing just one of these aspects, most often reading, and forget about all the other elements. And yet their goal is usually speaking fluently. This means you may be able to read the most advanced English literature, but you'll likely still face some difficulty when it comes to voicing your thoughts, listening to an English speaker, or even writing English content. It's important to practice all four elements so that you can work on them together, rather than thinking about first reading, then writing, then listening, and then speaking. They all function in harmony to make you a fluent English communicator, so you need to practice them all together. If you're trying to advance your ability to communicate using English skills, you need to consider that there are really four aspects that you need to work on at about the same time: reading, writing, listening, and speaking. Skill 1. Reading. This is a skill where you receive input, read more, and grow your vocabulary. Skill 2. Writing. This is the skill where you can take time, gather your thoughts, and produce English to your best ability. Listening. Hearing is going to give you the audio input. You'll learn how words sound, listen carefully, and your vocabulary and fluency will improve. Speaking. Everyone wants it. You'll need the other 3 skills to build it. Practice it to build your vocabulary and fluency. Listen and repeat. Using listening and speaking to improve your fluency. That's where we're going with this. The elements of this technique cover listening and speaking. Many people who are trying to advance their English share the same difficulty. They don't enjoy speaking. If you struggle to speak the language, you'll also have difficulty communicating. So the trick is to start speaking aloud as soon as possible, without any delay. This simple method gets learners listening and speaking the English language with minimal effort, and it all begins with watching movies and TV. Here's how it works. The first step is to go to YouTube or another media source and find an English show that you think you might enjoy watching. Start by selecting a segment of that show. Watch the segment that you have chosen, pick a character, and repeat all of the character's lines, word for word. The purpose is to match their pronunciation, their speed, their tone, and even their accent. And even if you misunderstand a word, don't worry, repeat everything. The key to this method's success is to just keep talking in English. You'll eventually be working towards making your output sound identical to the native actors that you're copying. Keep in mind, this is about more than just parroting what they're saying. You're trying to speak like them, so do what they do for now. Repeat the spoken language properly, match the speed and delivery, match the tones and the inflection. These will give you a better understanding of the inflection and tone that native speakers use in various situations. This learning method also allows you to get a glimpse into the culture. To take this method a step further, use an audio recorder. Yes, an audio recorder. The purpose is to listen back to your delivery of the lines and compare them with the delivery of a native speaker. This is invaluable insight. You may know what your advice should sound like, but you don't know what your voice does sound like. Think about it for a moment. Recording your English will also allow you to know where your strengths and weaknesses are. Knowing this will help you improve your own practice and help you advance faster. Of course, you may be disappointed the first time you listen back to your English practice. You'll probably be surprised too. Many learners think they sound more native than they really do, and hearing themselves repeat the language can be totally discouraging. The important thing is to keep performing the exercise. Keep your first attempt. Keep it on file, and in a few weeks go back and compare your progress. You will be amazed. Maximizing this method. One of the biggest benefits of this method is that you don't need to find a native speaker to converse with. Here are some tips. Find a show or movie that matches your current English proficiency. Consider starting with a cartoon, seriously, a cartoon or another basic video. Stay away from movies that follow a historical dialect like a Shakespeare. You are trying to speak contemporary English, so practice accordingly. For this particular exercise, keep a dictionary handy so that you can look up any words that you don't understand. You can then put it into context within the scene to help you learn its meaning much more effectively. Turning on subtitles is very helpful too. Look up the transcripts and that'll be helpful. This is a technique known as full immersion, but more about that some other time. Start with just repeated short phrases. If you try to begin with long and complex sentences, you're just setting yourself up to fail. If you stumble with a single word in a long sentence, you're likely to miss the rest of it. That is why it's great to start with cartoons. Don't feel silly. Their sentences are much smaller, it's a more practical exercise, and it'll just work. You're likely to still miss a word occasionally, just focus on repeating what the character says. Sound for sound. When you miss something, continue listening and pick it up again later. Many language learners who first hear of this method think it's just simply too fun to actually work, but in reality, it's very powerful. When using the listen and repeat method, you're learning a practical side of both grammar and pronunciation, while the textbook grammar you learn in the classroom is important. Knowing how native speakers use these rules and flex them is very important for advancing your knowledge. Being able to learn unfamiliar terms within the right context will also give your learning a great boost. The English language has many incomplete words that learners have difficulty with. In the classroom, you don't always get the complete connotation of these terms. When you use the listen and repeat method, you're less likely to find yourself pausing and fumbling for the perfect grammar. Finally, this method is likely to become quite a regular feature during your practice and afterwards, since you're getting used to enjoy watching that combination of audio and video input. The more you practice the technique, the more you speak more clearly, and very important, select movies that work with your English level, your interest, and your personal learning style. Thanks for watching this segment from Speak Proper English.